morning, ladies and gents. Our subject for today is Visual Techniques 1, and the topic is about light and shadow. What is shadow? How do you define it? Shadow is the creation where light cannot reach. It is shadow that helps us define form. Light is a natural agent that stimulates sight. It is light that first enables what you see. When an object blocks the light, it will produce shadow. And that's why shadow defines form in architecture. Shadow is the creation of light. Without light, there will be no shadow. Without solid object, there will be no shadow. Light can exist without shadow. Without shadow, light still shines. Light has been seen as the origin of all being, as without light, life would not be possible on earth. Light greatly affects our ways of life as how we interact with one another. Interacts with the surroundings revolve around how light interacts with us. Our relationship with an environment enhanced in the presence of light. Just like in the creation of the world, first there was light in the creation. It was mentioned in the Bible that when God created the world, the universe, first there was a light. In architecture during Renaissance, there is a natural use of light in designing architecture. Example here in this Rome Pantheon, the use of natural light in early architecture was seen or related to the gods above. So, may kaugnayan ang Diyos sa paggawa ng arkitektura noon tulad nitong Pantheon para ma-remind ang mga tao na ang gumawa ng light, ang source of light is the ultimate creator, the God. Light is the origin of all beings. Light has been creation of God or even God Himself. That's why sa Egypt, ang God nila noon ay yung sun. Tinatawag na sun god Ra. Kaya ang sun ang nagpo-produce ng light. Kaya sa ibang relihiyon at sa ibang sibilisasyon, ang sun o ang araw ang siyang Diyos. The Pantheon is one of the earliest attempts at using light to create and give life to a space. In green architecture of today, the modern architecture, we are following the scheme or the system of designing building based on green architecture. And during Renaissance, architects before like Palladio, Michelangelo, even Da Vinci uses natural light to enter the building to light the interior space. So that is already a green architecture. Parang na-revive lang yan. Ang ideya niyan at ginamit na yan noon during Renaissance, 17th century, almost 600 years ago. The opening is at the very center of the dome here in the Pantheon. The lights moves around the dome as the hours changes. Iikot yung sinag ng araw as the sun changes its position from east to west, morning to afternoon. Iba-ibang angle ng sun, kaya iba-iba rin ang tatamaan na party sa interior depending on the hour of the day. The quality and quantity of light gives certainly quality and quantity of shadow. The physical and spiritual appearance of this architecture changes with changes of its interior light. Meaning, example sa interior, we cannot define forms dito. Halimbawa dito, yung mga recess na tinatawag. Hindi yan ma-identify natin without shadow. Kasi kung walang shadow, light lang yan, hindi natin malaman na mayroon palang mga recesses or yung naka-carve doon sa ceiling na parang mga square na carvings. Alright, ito yung pinakasikat na building sa Rome until now. Preserved siya as architectural heritage, the Pantheon. On the final period, I will assign every one of you to draw historical buildings related to Western architecture. Meaning doon tayo kukuha ng historical building sa Italy, sa Rome, sa Greece. At yan ay ibibigay ko sa inyo maybe next week as assignment for the whole semester, compilation of historical building from Renaissance period in the Western civilization, or how Western architecture manifests during the Renaissance period. Alright, let's go along. Is still on Pantheon interior. The curves notches on the dome create shadow, giving it a soul. The steps on the notches creates an illusion of a window and form pattern of light and shadow. So may mga illusion na magawa ang shadow and light on interior kung maganda ang pagka-carve ng mga elements doon. The natural lightings, example sunlight, are most often used in places of worship or spiritual enlightenment. In this design, meron siyang na-add na mga crystals para mag-reflect more lights in different colors. Parang i-disperse ng mga crystals na yan or glass or gemstone, ang light ay i-refract niya para siyang prism. At ang illusion niyan ay napakaganda, very spiritual, and it will give enlightenment kung sa simbahan yan. Antoni Gaudi uses circles, curves, and other organic shapes to create his architecture. So si Antoni Gaudi, mahilig talaga yan sa curve. Meron siyang design na La Sagrada, napakaraming curve na building. Across the cultures, there is an understanding of daylight and human experience and the many ways it can be controlled and exposed. Protection and orientation have been integral to vernacular design and traditional building methods. A room, according to Lewis Kahn, a room is not a room without natural light. So kailangan sa pag-design ng building or house, ang room ay kailangan talaga ay meron siyang natural light na papasok. In green architecture, kailangan talaga yan. Mayroong papasok na natural air, natural light from sunlight. Ganyan na ngayon, hindi na uso yung sarado ang building or houses sa design. Kailangan may ventilation, may passive ventilation, at kailangan may mga opening na papasok ang light. Yun ang mga dapat pag-isipan kung mag-design ng building with relation to the green architecture. With the advancement in technology and design, architects today are able to make use of natural light more as more opening can be used in their design. So, sa modernong arkitektura, maraming opening for air and sunlight para makatipid, hindi lang makatipid, para healthy yung mga human being na nakatira sa loob. With that being said, natural light is still sometimes used to highlight certain beliefs and aspect in religious buildings. Sa religious buildings talaga yan. Pag simbahan, chapel, churches, kailangan talaga ng epekto. I-design nyo yung building na merong effect of light na para siyang miracle ang dating. Here's another good example of building uses natural light. Yung kisame niya ay parang plastic na transparent. At hindi naman gaanong transparent, parang kunti lang papasok na light. Kasi naman mainit kung 100% of light ay papasukin mo through the roof. Mainit na, kaya kailangan mga 25% of light papasukin. And you need sunscreen for that. Sa ganitong design, meron yan sunscreen na hindi lahat ay papasok ang light para konti lang ang radiation, pero illuminate siya. Mag-illuminate yung parang katamtaman lang, parang dapit hapon, parang alas 4 lang sa hapon ang dating ng light. Alright, hope you catch up with me. Here is the glass roof, pero hindi yan glass na totally transparent, parang sunglass yan. Nag-deflect yan ng ultraviolet rays. Sa mga bagong glass ngayon ay hindi na papasok yung ultraviolet rays, which is very harmful to humans. Kaya maganda ang pagka-design ng building, kaya lang mahal. Kaya sa Pilipinas tayo ay hindi nagagamit niyan kasi mahal. Pero kung mayroong magpa-design sa inyo ng mga billionaire, pwede niyong i-apply ang mga ganyan na mga glass na ultraviolet protection siya. Here, Norman chooses to cover the top of his design with glass dome. Ito yung glass dome. Domical kasi ang design yan. Sa ibabaw, para siyang cafe, parang restaurant sa ibabaw ng building. At alam naman natin na doon sa Amerika or even in Australia, in Canada, kailangan talaga nila magpapainit sa sikat ng araw kasi there are 4 seasons sa kanilang lugar. Isang season lang yung mainit, summer lang. At yung autumn, winter, and fall, mga malalamig na season yun. Kaya kailangan talaga nila ng open space with sunlight. Kaya ganyan talaga ang design. Doon, sa atin naman, medyo limitahan natin ang opening at glass kasi nasa tropical country tayo. Mainit at palaging may ulan. So those are things to consider. Protection from heat, protection from rain. Para hindi magkasakit. Hindi lang kopya ng kopya sa design sa labas, kundi ibase ang design based on our topography, in our climate, and based also in our local materials na available. So ito yung design ni Norman sa labas niya. Ay parang kinopya niya yung Pantheon sa ibabaw. Neoclassical pala yung design ng kanyang building. Yung classic, ginawa niyang bago, nilagyan ng moderno na materials, which is the glass and steel. Pero dito, napakagaling ng mga curves sa design na ito. Parang nasa ibang planeta ka. Very advanced. Maguguluhan ang utak mo dyan kasi hindi siya normal na design. Parang illusion sa loob. Uses curves and organic shapes to illuminate the interiors with natural light. Sobrang moderno ng design na ito kung nakita nyo. Pero nag-illuminate siya ng interiors using natural light. Napakagaling. na ipasok niya yung natural light kahit malaking building in all of the spaces sa interior. At syempre, kunting tulong lang sa mga bulbs, mga LED bulb dito sa gilid. Ang hindi na kaya maabot ng sunlight ay nilalagyan na rin yan ng LED bulb na kunti lang ang consumption sa kurente. So ito yung tinatawag na artificial light. Yung artificial light ay yung mga LED. Yung LED ay tumutugon yan or sumusunod sa mga panununtunan ng LED ng green architecture. Kasi ang LED bulb ay kunti lang ang kanyang konsumo. So makatipid, kaya tinatawag yan na green light. Ang LED kahit puti ang light niya, tinatawag pa rin yan na green light. Kasi matipid siya. Green refers to environment and less consumption of energy. When you consider a building green design, that means that certain building uses only minimal consumption of energy from commercial sources, but uses almost 60% of energy coming from sunlight or coming from wind or turbine. Those are alternative sources of power. So as technology advances, over illumination becomes a problem. Excessive amount lightnings are used in design. This cause not only wastage of energy, but also result in bad design. Kasi ang mga architecture ay nagpapabilib yan. Gusto nilang magpa-impress, kaya nilalagyan nila ng napakaraming lights na hindi na kailangan ng building. Kaya malaki na ang consumption at hindi na yan green architecture. Pag malaki na ang consumption, magagastuhan na ang may-ari niyan. At kung magagastuhan ka, lugi ka sa negosyo mo. Kaya hindi siya green architecture kasi hindi siya matipid sa energy. A good interior design will have just right amount of lighting. Ayan. Ang magandang interior daw ay dapat eksakto lang ang lightings. Hindi susobra. As shown in this picture above, the office is overly illuminated even for a working environment. Dito, sobra-sobra siyang light kahit walang trabaho. Loging-logi ang kumpanya niyan. There is a museum in Beijing na kunti lang yung illumination niya. Kaya maganda tingnan, parang soft. Kahit sa photography nga, kung sobra yung flash na ginagamit mo sa photography ay pangit ang dating. Kaya sa photography, nilalagyan yan ng tinatawag na pampalambot sa light. Yung softening of light sa photography, nilalagyan ng parang umbrella. Reflective light lang ang ginagamit sa photography. In the studio, sa loob ng studio. Kasi pag gagamit ng napakalakas na ilaw, ay kikintab yung mga mukha ng tao sa pictures. Pero sa labas, meron ng natural light na sun. Tapat lang ang oras na maganda. Sa photography, ang magandang oras ay sa hapon. That will be 3 to 4 p.m. Alas 3 to alas 4 ng hapon. Ang pinakamagandang time sa photoshoot. Alright. So here in the museum, they uses natural light to light the interior of this museum. Is there any problem? No, there is no problem. Wala siyang gaanong artificial light. Kaya maganda. Yan ay nangyari dahil sa magandang plano at ideya ng isang architect. Kaya sa architecture, hindi lang magaling mag-drawing, hindi lang magaling mag-design, kundi conceptualization is the most important in architecture. Yung pagkonsepto, pag-imagine, yung theory. Pero overall, konsepto talaga ang pinaka-importante in architecture. Hindi lang yung shape, yung form, kundi totally the concept. Yun ang overall na dapat ay bigyan ng malaking pansin. Ito yung kay John Otson, yung gumawa ng The Opera House sa Australia. Yung sikat na landmark ay yun ang gawa ni John Otson. So ito rin yung chapel niya using natural light. Magandang effect ng interior. Ito ay may tulong na sa artificial light, pero hindi excessive yung light, soft ang dating. Yo man, so here's how artificial light will give effects during night time. These are artificial lightning. Kailangan din natin talaga ng artificial light. Example, during night, kung madilim, wala ng sun. So ang sunlight ay available lamang yan sa araw, sa daytime. Kaya i-charge natin ang energy sa solar panels. Solar power ay magda-charge yan overnight ng energy into the battery, and during night, ang battery naman ang gagamitin para mag-light ng ganitong klase na mga display of lights. Pwedeng isupply yan o gagamitan ng solar power. Galing pa rin sa sun. Exterior lighting can be used to create mood, pero meron pa rin siyang shadow. Meron siyang shade. Kaya importante talaga na merong light at merong shadow. Ito, light and shadow give a different type of soulfulness at different angles, and they are used to enhance the geometry and form of the buildings. So ito yung parang nadagdagan ang mga linya, nadagdagan ang form. Ang simple form ay parang dumami, naging complex dahil sa shadow. During the 60s, 1960s, 1950s, wala pang color ang film. Ang movie ay black and white, ang film ay black and white. Ang dating niya ay parang ganito. During the 60s, 1950s, sa panahon ng mga lulu at lula. Pero maganda pa rin tingnan kahit black and white. Ito yung design ni ito yung John F. Kennedy Terminal. Kay John Otson pa rin ito. Expressionism yung style. Ito ay American Eagle na nakaharap. Ito yung wings, ito yung tuka, ito yung paa. At ito ay the John F. Kennedy Airport sa New York. Ito si Louis Kahn ang nagsabi, isang Master of Architecture in the US. Si Louis Kahn. Sabi niya, I sense light as the giver of all presences, and material as spent light. What is made by light casts a shadow, and the shadow belongs to light. So light pa rin ang beda. Sa dalawa, shadow and light, light pa rin yung nasa itaas. Without light, there will be no shadow, but light can exist without a shadow. Shadows in architecture help break up vast amount of space. Mapaliit ng shadow ang space tulad dito. Lumiit tingnan ang space kasi darker yung half caused by the shadow. A shadow also create dynamic and life with the use of natural lightings. Example here sa chapel. Parang dramatic yung dating ni Jesus na nasa cross because of light. Inside the John F. Kennedy Airport, ito yung Trans World Airlines Terminal. Tinatawag yan noon na John F. Kennedy Airport kasi ginawa yan sa panahon ni Kennedy. Ito yung loob niya, parang nasa ibang mundo ka, parang alien yung dating. Ito naman yung isang design ng isang sikat na master of architecture. Parang kay Le Corbusier yata ito, using shadow and light. So ito yung mga example pa ng ibang building na gumagamit ng natural light galing sa sky or galing sa itaas. Ito yung kay Le Corbusier na chapel. Yung cross ay maganda ang dating. Very dramatic and miraculous yung dating ng cross because of the sunlight. Ito naman yung isang chapel na open para siyang naturalistic ang dating. Ito naman yung Guggenheim Museum ni Frank Lloyd, pinakasikat na Western architect. One of the masters of architecture, si Frank Lloyd Wright ang nag-design yan sa New York Guggenheim Museum. Wala kang makikitang hagdan dyan, kundi paikot-ikot ka lang, para siyang barena. Iikot-ikot ka lang, walang hagdan. Ganyan kagaling ang building na yan. Kaya hanggang ngayon sikat. At marami pa rin inspired architects with the design of Frank Lloyd Wright. Sabi nga nila, hindi ka maging tama kung hindi ka si Frank Lloyd Wright. Kasi right nga siya. You can never be wrong with Frank Lloyd Wright. Ito naman yung mga epekto ng yung sunset effects on smooth surfaces or glass surface. Shade and shadow and light, ganyan. Parang kung tingnan mo nga, silence. Ang pinapakita ng light effect na yan ay parang walang ingay. Silence nga. Silence room. So, even today, ang mga artist, they make use of light and shadow to express their art with clever use of both elements. The shadow become the artwork in some cases. Alright, so just try to observe how the artist create illumination and minimal uses of light, effect of light, different colors of light. Of course, nandyan pa rin yung shadow. Hindi nawawala ang shadow. Dito ang epekto ng shadow. Diyan, maganda siya. So magkaroon kayo ng mga ideya using light and shadow. Tulad nito, Siya ay putol-putol lang ng mga bricks. Tinikit sa dingding, ngunit nag-cast siya ng shadow of a woman. Napakagaling na art niyan. Ngayon lang ako nakakita nito, guys. Dapat appreciate nyo yan at i-apply nyo sa inyong mga interiors. Napakagaling na idea. Pieces of bricks lang, dinikit-dikit sa dingding, tapos nakakreate siya ng figure of a woman, a naked woman. Siguro ay sexy yan, using a source of light here. Magaling, good job. Ito naman si Atlas. Galing lang dito sa mga coins. Sino ba namang mag-akala na ang coins na ito ay mag-cast ng shadow na ganito? Napakagaling. Brilliant. Good job. Sana meron tayong project na ganito. I will think about it. Kasi ang ating subject, visual tech, ay umiikot lang talaga yan sa shade and shadow using black and white. Kaya I will have a second thought kung gagawa tayo ng ganitong artwork na lalagyan natin ng light dito, projection of light, and then i-project natin sa dingding kung ano ba talaga ang purma ng inyong ginawa using light and an object na ganito na mag-cast ng shadow na napakaganda tingnan. Believe ako, magaling na artist. Here are example of some sculptures. Tinatawag yan na fabrication, yung dinikit-dikit. Alright, sana ay marami kayong natutunan sa ating lesson ngayon about the shade and shadow uses of light, natural light and artificial light. And I have questions for you after this video. Please answer it and compile it on brown envelope. And I'll see you on our next lesson. Thank you. Alright guys, here's the questions for our lesson number 2 to be answered on a white piece of bond paper and to be compiled on a brown envelope, and you can submit it right here in our school every weekend, Friday to Saturday. And here we go with the questions. Number 1, is shade a shadow? How is light related to shadows? What is the shade and shadow in architecture? Do light sources have shadows? How is shade created? What is the difference between the shadow and the shade? Alright, before I go, I would like to ask a favor from you. Please subscribe, like, and make a comment on every video that I will post right here in my channel. Thank you. Stay out from COVID. Be safe and see ya when I see you.